Greetings, all you Metamaniacs. This is Team NEG, and that dude over that way is good old Maurice. Today we're here to talk to you about the Gear 13 characters we think are the very best to do first in all of the different and most important squads in Territory Wars and Grand Arena.
We found an extremely useful post by a gentleman of the name of Destructo11. This post can be found on Reddit. We will post a link in the description below. I highly recommend going to check this post out if you guys are on the fence. So thank you very much to Destructo11 for putting the time and research into this post. And also, guys, keep in mind that we're talking about the Gear 12 finishers themselves. Gear 12 plus 5 to Gear 13 is what we're going to be discussing.
We invite your comments below on what Gear 13 characters you have found most useful, and also invite you to subscribe to our channel and come into our Discord server that has a wonderful community of the uber nerds of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes talking about the math and the strategy behind this game 24 hours a day. Okay, let's get started. Of course, the most obvious faction, if you already have it, and the one that most people who do have done first, is the Sith Empire. These characters all get a massive boost in damage, and of course their most important statistic, speed. This meta is more dependent on speed than any meta in the past, so really if you're already struggling with a slower Darkside Bastila in your arena, you're going to want to get that up so you can at least get ahead of some of those other Darkside Bastilas that are already Gear 13 and get ahead of the game.
Your first three are probably going to be Darth Revan, guys, Darth Malik, and Bastila Shan Fallen. These three characters are the core of your arena teams. Darth Revan doesn't get the best increases to his stats. He gets 18% damage. And then Malik also is slightly above average across the board in terms of the author of this post calls it survivability, and then also damage. But Bastila does get actually 31% damage increase, so that is nice, especially when you start stacking that with the ferocity. And of course all the characters do get speed. HK47 gets a very nice damage increase at 40%. For those of you guys that have not witnessed a Gear 13 Sith Marauder, he is a sight to behold. He can really one-shot almost any character in the game with 10 stacks of ferocity, so he is he's something to consider. We'll go over the other Revan now, guys, the Jedi Knight Revan. All of these characters that traditionally make up this team, Jedi Knight Revan, Bastila Shan, Jolee, Grandmaster Yoda, General Kenobi. None of these characters really get a tremendous benefit from their Gear 12 finisher piece. Jedi Knight Revan will get a little bit of special damage, and all of his attacks are special damage oriented. And then also, Jolee will get some more health for you to mod and get his health pool even higher. So that is something to consider. Most of these characters are going to be simply for the speed aspect of the game, so you can compete, so you can counter the Darth Revans and get your Jedi Knight Revan teams out in front.
Grandmaster Yoda is falling out of the counter meta right now, so might want to wait on him if you are considering it, because I think there's going to be a lot of better Darth Revan counters kind of coming up the ranks. The next one that we're going to go into is Padme, which is currently a lot of people's alternative Darth Revan counter. For Padme, I would say the one really essential character there is Jedi Knight Anakin. He gets a really big boost in offense, 32%, and that's going to really help you to get through that squad and just ensure that you push through before your characters die.
If you got to choose two Night Sisters, guys, I would go with Night Sister Spirit and Old Daka as your two Gear 13 Night Sisters. Night Sister Spirit gets a massive boost to her offense from Gear 12 to Gear 13, and the finisher itself is going to provide 25 additional percent to her already huge physical damage pool that she gets. The Old Daka being the second one, she gets almost double of her health pool from Gear 12 to Gear 13, and that's extra health that you can mod on. I mean, it's not uncommon to see Dakas well over 80,000 health nowadays. And you can do that with, again, guys, the extra speed. Night Sister Spirit speed is essential, and Old Daka's speed is also very helpful now. Maybe later down the line, go back and revisit your leader, whether it be Talzin or Asajj. Talzin does get a very nice offensive boost herself. And then, of course, Night Sister Zombie, you can stack her health through the roof along with Daka.
A little shout out to two who are on the top of the leaderboard. Night Sister Spirit, for sure, offense is important, but speed is very impressive. So Murik Stellar, who's one of our patrons, he has a 326 speed Spirit. Wow. And Wink from Shattered Order podcast has a 97,000 health Daka. So that's crazy. And then there's protection on top of that. So that's 97,000 health plus whatever protection he has. So, oh wow. Onto the Separatist Droids. There's been a lot of talk and awe about how much General Grievous's health increases from Gear 12 to Gear 13. That is a very typical, maybe 4th or 5th Gear 13 character to get. But on that squad as well, the second character that you're going to want to Gear 13 on that is, maybe surprisingly, B1. He is so scary at Gear 13. He can just drop crazy bombs. Onto the bugs, the other half of the Separatist faction. Here, there's probably 2 characters that are quite essential to Gear 13. If you face a Gear 12 Geonosian squad with Traya, you can kind of go in there with, you know, even 2 characters, maybe 3, and just kind of burn through that team. They kill themselves from all of the assists that are happening. You are going to not want to do that if you face a very well modded Gear 13 bugs. You have to take in another tank, maybe 2, unless your Traya is a very, very well modded, but I would not suggest that, really. If they choose to go after your Darth Nihilus, you can be in big trouble, or Scion. Geonosian Brood Alpha is probably the first Gear 13 that you're going to want to do there. He just gives a whole lot more survivability to the team. It's obvious when you actually are facing a Gear 13 spy. This is one of the most powerful characters in the game from an offensive standpoint. He has a 52% increase in offense at Gear 13, and he is not to be trifled with. If you have a great Geonosian squad, that's definitely, for me, maybe even the first character, but probably the second character you're going to want to get on that squad. Good old Race, you have recently Gear 13'd R2. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
Now that my BB-8 is paired with IG-88 General Grievous for that Darth Revan counter, R2-D2 is extremely important to my Jedi training Ray team. He becomes the facilitator of the team, if you will. Of course, you're going to get all that extra speed when you take him to Gear 13, but you're also going to get a significant amount of stats across the board. He gets a little extra potency, he'll get more protection, more health, and he does get a nice boost to his offense. These are stats that are going to be shared across the entire team with that number crunch Zeta. It's a very, very good value in terms of overall Gear 13. So he's Galactic Republic, he's a Rebel, he's Resistance, all sorts of teams you can throw him in. And just the Gear 13 makes any team you put him in better across the board. So a very, very good, solid, safe investment in terms of Gear 13 there. And then also Resistance Trooper, speaking of Resistance Trooper will get a very significant damage increase. He is a little far-fetched, but if you guys are looking for that little something extra to push you over the top so your Ray can start beating these bug teams, can't continue to beat the bounty hunters in First Order, wherever you guys are using them, Resistance Trooper will give you a nice damage increase. He gets 48%, I believe it is, from the Gear 12 plus 5 to the Gear 13, just the piece alone. So it's a very, very good damage-oriented character.
The next faction that we're looking at is the Imperial Troopers, and there's a lot, they're all really essential to the working of this team. It's a very synergistic team, and really, when you think of the Imperial Troopers, who you think of first is Stark. And Stark not only gets a 8-speed boost, which is fantastic because you want to push a lot of speed onto this character, but he also gets a huge boost in offense of 46% plus a bunch of survivability. So that's great if you're facing a Night Sister team and, Daka turns around and stuns him, or Spirit, comes at him with her special. You really need him to survive because he is so important to that team. The second character that I would Gear 13 on that team is Snowtrooper. He gets a 25% increase in offense. Not the biggest increase in offense on the board, but he is so important to take down those sisters, and he already has a huge offense pool to start with. An imp match is not going 3 or 4 minutes. You need to kill them within the first 30 to 45 seconds, or that Imperial Trooper team is done. So I think that's a worthwhile investment when you're going against the Night Sisters.
We'll go over 2 more factions, guys. We'll go over the Bounty Hunters, and we will go over the First Order factions. Bounty Hunters wise, Bosk is going to be your primary target for Gear 13. His piece is a little underwhelming, but it does give 16% tenacity, 22% potency, and Bosk is the cornerstone for all bounty hunter teams that I've ever seen. The speed of Bosk really determines how effective the team can be. And the second is actually going to be Django. He gets a very nice offensive boost, and he gets 10% potency from the piece itself. So even better, especially if you're using the Django lead, potency is uber important. A little footnote we'll go over here with the bounty hunters. Aura Singh actually gets a huge, one of the very highest offensive boosts from her Gear 12 finisher. So for you bounty hunter fanboys out there and fangirls, your Aura Singh is going to get a lot better. That special is going to hit a lot harder than it has been. So that's something to keep in mind for the more advanced bounty hunter players. Order in the two characters you probably want to begin to Gear 13 in that faction. Both of their names are Kylo, and the old Kylo Ren Mask is probably going to be the first one that you want to do, because Kylo Ren is a facilitator of the team, not first order officer. Kylo Ren, the faster he goes, the better he is, the faster he gets the team out in front. Very similar to Starks, who we just discussed. You do kind of want to start with him to facilitate your team. He'll get a lot of speed. He does get a nice offense boost, not very much in the survivability department, but that speed is very, very, very important. And then the second is going to be the other Kylo Unmasked. He gets a very nice survivability boost, no offense to speak of, especially in the resistance department. He gets 50.5% resistance increase from that piece to get him to Gear 13. And of course, when you take him to Gear 13, he'll have more moddable health, more moddable defense, make him very, very difficult to kill.
There is a 287 speed Kylo Ren Masked from Ian Rios Dub from the Knight Brothers, and Mr. Goodall Maurice here is third on that list with a 283 Kylo as well.
I'm coming for you, Ian. I'm coming. A couple more notable ones, guys, is going to be your Han and Chewie. Han hits incredibly hard at Gear 13. Chewbacca gets a nice, both of these characters actually get a very nice damage increase, but they really get very, very little in terms of the survivability department, health, protection, armor, resistance. Speaking of resistance, guys, Destructo here has done an excellent job rounding up the tanks that get the highest resistance rating. And this is important because every meta we've had for the past, significant amount of time, Traya, Jedi Knight Revan, and also Darth Revan. All these characters are very special damage-oriented teams. Stormtrooper Han actually gets a 60% resistance increase. Chopper's up there at 52. Night Sister Zombie is there as well. L337 is one that I've personally done to Gear 13. She gets around 30% armor increase and the 49% increase to her resistance. Her fives, some of these other characters I just mentioned here, they get huge boosts to their defense, their armor, and the resistance when you take them up. And these secondaries, these defensive secondaries, the defensive primaries, defensive sets can start playing a big role in how you set up your teams, and allow you some flexibility with maybe some more of your health mods. You can pull the health mods off, replace them with defense, potency. You start really stacking defense on these characters and getting their armors up into the thresholds of the 70%.